MTN SME Hub. Link to growth, link to success, link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show. In studio with us today, we've got Khutsiso Kgole. He's the founder and CEO of KLM High-giene Solutions. And we're talking about the idea of building out branches and building sufficient process and systems in order to do that. So I'm going to come back to when I was quite facetious with you around what business you're in. And why I did that was because that guides the answer. In my opinion, just based on what you're saying, what business you're in is you're in the business of collecting samples, and you're in the business of marketing, and you're in the business of adding additional value through consulting. It's like those three pieces. But the fact that the clients are happy and all that, we always say that, and that's excuse the pun, that's a hygiene factor. That's it's a given. They've got to be happy. Sure. Otherwise, why are we in business? So I don't want to hide under we make our customers happy. Sure. I'm trying to understand what business you're in. Because if you've got branches, whatever you're doing here, and you think of it perhaps like a franchise, you have to be bringing in work for those people, right? Number one. So you have to be able to market to that extent. And that's where I said, how do you get your work? If it's through social media, are you going to now pump work to them to get them to send work to them? If you're in the sampling, you definitely need sampling people in each of the branches. Correct. And if you're in the consulting piece, then you need somebody who can consult. So it started to give me an idea what the construct is in those branches, and that then informs me in what processes and systems of priority first to get right first. Sure. So that the business can scale. And when we talk about scale, one of the important things around scale is to consider yourself not present. That's why I said if you're not there, what's happening? And so when I was talking about reporting, I wasn't talking about being in a meeting. I was saying that you're sitting theoretically at 30,000 feet on the airplane, you received a couple of reports and you're going, branch number 2 is not performing. Branch number 3 is having a good sure. week, etc. What's the reporting structure that's coming into you? So I'm thinking more than just process. I'm thinking at scale. I'm thinking about you as the CEO at scale, what you need in order to run a business at scale, and what are the processes and systems that will inform you whether these branches are doing well as well. So the first important thing is when you're building process at your size of 5 people, which is a nice size, is to ensure that everyone is building process. It's not just you. Sure. Everyone can start off by building their one. So you go tomorrow back to the office and say, okay, you write down everything that you're doing in the process. Then you sit with them and say, what could go wrong? What are the anomalies here that could go wrong? And you use that as a skeleton and start to flesh that out into a process. And then you can use the likes of ChatGPT, etc., to clean it up and to make it and end up with a SOP, basically. SOP, exactly. But you've got to get the basis out of the individual that's there, and of course you will have your input to do that. But the important thing to hear here is that you're not doing it, that everyone in the business is doing it for their particular role. That's number one. Sure. Then the second thing is to build the training and assessments around that. So now it's all very well that now individual A has got a certain job that they're doing, and this is the processes that they follow. But remember, individual A is going to have the equivalent in branch 2, 3, and 4. And so someone is going to have to train them. So now you're going to go and employ that person. Then they go, oops, here's a process they don't understand. It all falls down, and that's costly. Sure. So before you even move to that, the second phase, which often people forget, is to build the actual training around that. So now go and build a slide deck that now you can train somebody else in order to do that. Sure. And then the third thing related to that is then the assessments that relate to their training, because it's all very well that they do the training, but how do you know if they know what to do? So you need to assess them. So let this individual build the process, the training, the assessments. That's the full stack that happens around that. So that's that, and that you do that for every individual. Then the next level is controls. Right? What are the controls that you need in place? You have to assume that people are not going to do their job. And I'm not saying that they won't. Okay, it's likely, but you have to build the system to assume that people are going to try and do the very minimal during a day. And so, what are the controls to know what you're setting as the minimum? Okay,
and what you're getting out of it.
What are you getting out? So, what are the controls to know that something took place? Right. That's far more. I mean, that's a journey of a lifetime with individuals to know, because processes change. So, how do I know how many came in, how many went out? What the quality? How do I measure quality? How do I measure speed? What's the right turnaround time? How many samples left on time or before required? How many left after time? Because now when it's small and you're there and you're physically there, it's fine.
Sure.
But when you're not there and you're not there and you're not there, you need a way. You need a way to do that. So even here, while you're here, you build the controls. And you start to monitor controls while you're here. I'm saying you don't even roll out until you've got that next phase.
Sure.
And then finally, from the controls comes the reporting. So how does that get reported to me? In what format? Is it exception reporting that I only want to know, the exceptions? Is, which part of all this do I need to know in order to run the business properly? And who needs to know what? Can other people get the other reports so I don't have to do everything? So what do I need as Khutsiso to get, assuming I'm on a plane somewhere and I'm reading my reports, that I know what the business is doing? And only once you've done all that, then you start to build out the next thing. So for me, it's not just about process. It's about process. It's about training. It's about assessments. It's about controls, and it's about reporting, and it's about your team doing it, not just you. You're supporting your team. You're helping them. You're asking the right questions, but it's those individuals. And that's really the way that I would roll out. And just coming back to my last point here is to be very clear what business you're in.
Yes.
Because it's you're not in the business of servicing your clients, because everyone is. It's you're in the business of collecting samples. So how do you do that better than anyone else, quicker, faster, more meticulously? You're in the business of marketing, because you need to market all those business, and the consulting. What is your brand of consulting? What is your methodology? And with that, only once I got that do I start to roll out. So I hope I've given you.
No, you have. Especially the assessment part. I think, we most of the time worry too much about processes and having them in place, but they can just be a piece of paper that's on the shelves and not really communicate to the team. So they will have to be brought in and bring life to those processes and SOPs.
Great. Khutsiso, I hope that's given you something to think about. I hope that's given you something to think about. And as always, if you think it, write it down and make it a reality.
The Big Small Business Show, proudly sponsored by MTN Business.